Two super dudes who want to share their knowledge of pop culture and the art of bullshit. The Open Mic Show with Steve Starr and Cash West.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Open Mic Show. This is episode 37. I am Cash West.
Do I have to introduce myself, or are you going to introduce me?
Fuck you.
Hey, look, I'm just going to be honest. On take one, you decided to interrupt my introduction of myself. And, well, no, we're on take 3, because then I fucked up. It happens. It happens. So anyways, I'm Steve, the Starman.
I'm Cash. And over there we got Brando and Zuzu.
Hey.
Hello.
Say hi, Zuzu.
I'm the latter.
So, tonight we have a special episode. A little something different. We're doing famous murders, whether they be solved or unsolved. And we're just going to have some interesting discussion about what we think about each of these cases and maybe some of our own theories, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have a few on the list. We have our main 4. We have 4 main ones, but then we have some other ones we can talk about if we have time. Are Ed Gein,
Yeah.
the Zodiac Killer, Eileen Wuornos, which is a female serial killer, which is interesting, and Jack the Ripper. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So here's the weird thing about Ed Gein, though. Technically, I don't think he ever actually killed anybody. He was more like a gravedigger.
But didn't he? Did he? Well, that, and we'll get into that as we talk about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, but yeah.
We'll get into that as we talk about it. But there's, there's other
That's what I'm
things.
looking.
Was an American convicted murderer and body snatcher.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think he killed at least 1 or 2 people.
He killed 2,
Which was like, wasn't it a couple younger boys?
No, there were women. One, and then another couple
I
years
think
later.
he hung out with a couple boys, and that's when some of them, they helped tell some of his story.
You're thinking of...
No, because there was a movie on him. No. I know what you're saying, but there was a
There's
movie
lots
on
of
him.
movies based on him.
No, an actual like documentary on him.
From the local graveyard and fashioned trophies and keepsakes from their bones and their skin.
Yeah, I mean, he did definitely rob graves and take skin and shit. Because that's what inspired the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Correct.
In 54.
Yeah.
And in 57.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw
So he
Massacre.
killed 2 women, 54 and 57.
Let's see. Gein confessed to killing 2 women, tavern owner Mary Hogan in 1954, and a Plainsfield hardware store owner, Bernice Warden, in 1957.
Yeah. I see that right here. Yep,
He
November
was found
16th.
unfit to stand trial and was put into a mental health institute.
Yeah, he cut her head off, he gutted the body, and he hung her from a ceiling. So.
Craziness.
That's
Yeah,
some
just
nutty...
a bit.
nutty shit.
Supposedly, further investigation said that he had organs in jars and skulls as soup bowls.
Yep.
That's some high class cutlery and some china he's got going on.
Right. I don't know. I would find it kind of cool to eat his skulls.
He said he did necrophilia too.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty. He was fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to Central State Hospital. Where's that at? Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So he died in a mental health institution in 1984. But yeah, so he killed 2 ladies. It probably would have killed more if they didn't press him.
I don't know. He wasn't very. It wasn't very. It was more often that he would go into the graveyard and do grave robbing as opposed to murdering. He only murdered 2 people. Well, at least he's only found guilty of murdering 2.
Okay, so
He had an
you
alcoholic
related the
father
hardware
and
store
a
lady
fanatically
after
religious
she
mother.
was dead.
Yeah, she was very controlling, evidently.
Sins of lust and carnal desire. But I
Um,
can't see that making him want to go rob graves. He was already pretty fucked up at birth or something.
He robbed 3 graves approximately 40 times.
Now you guys are getting to a nature versus nurture debate.
Yeah, right.
shit.
The same grave 40 times? What the
Not
fuck could he
necessarily the
possibly...
same
He had
grave.
a wastebasket made out of human skin.
Yes.
Skulls on
Well, I mean, let's be honest, you guys. The Nazis had those too, and nobody batted an eye in Germany about it.
Covered several chair seats.
I mean, I would have if I mean, you couldn't say nothing. They would have killed you. But at the same time, I didn't know they had that. But
Actually,
that's a different story for a different time.
Oh yeah, hold on.
A corset
I guess he was
female
obsessively
torso
devoted to
skin
his mother, they say, too,
from
and he
shoulder
never
to
dated.
waist.
Yeah, the movie Psycho is loosely based off of it. The Silence of the Lambs is loosely based off of it, and then
Buffalo
of
Bill
course
is
Texas.
loosely based off of it, not Silence of the Lambs.
Well, I don't know what you want me to tell you, man, but I mean, there's a lot of there that happened in Silence of the Lambs. It's very similar to what happened with Ed Gein.
It
Right.
puts the
Like I
lotion
said,
on its
Buffalo Bill, the character Buffalo Bill is based on Ed Gein. The movie itself is not.
Buffalo Bill Cody was like alive 100 years before that motherfucker, man. How the hell does that
No,
happen?
Buffalo Bill, it says right here, Buffalo Bill was loosely based off him, who was in
I'm
Silence
looking
of
at
the
a
Lambs.
biography on an EDU website because I don't trust Wikipedia.
Alrighty, well, you guys can talk about it. I have to let my dog out.
Godspeed.
Godspeed and good luck.
Godspeed, John Glenn.
But yeah, no, the character Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs was based on Ed Gein.
Actually, so the story of Gein's gruesome activities, particularly his devotion to a dead mother, strongly influenced Robert Bloch's 1959 novel Psycho, which was adapted to the big screen the following year by Alfred Hitchcock.
I didn't say that was wrong.
Additionally, Gein served as the inspiration of other notorious movie villains, including Buffalo Bill, like you said, from Silence of the Lambs, and Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and has been referenced. The thing is that I have not seen Silence of the Lambs in probably 20 years, and so I can't remember the names of the characters. I didn't realize the guy's name was Buffalo Bill. I kept thinking, sitting here talking about goddamn Buffalo Bill Cody and his goddamn circus.
No, definitely not. I'm about to put my puppy in his cage.
Oh no! Don't put the
He's
puppy
being
in
all
his.
super hyperactive. And
Well, it's because
won't
there's
sit.
it's because there's people there, and he's trying to check him out. I'm sure
No,
there's
he's
probably
walking around the room.
he's got interesting smells on him. Let him smell them.
No, he's not anywhere near
No,
Zuzu.
he's on the other
Yeah,
side
he's-
of the room of me. He keeps trying to get under the desk. Now he's licking the floor.
Is it just me, or does Ed Gein look like Ed Harris?
Yeah.
Kinda. Oh, fine. We'll put the puppy in the lap, and he'll just have to sit in my lap for the rest of this show. I think he's got anxiety today.
Yeah, just calm him. Yeah, keep him calm. Yeah. Oh,
Keeps just
Gosh.
a baby.
what
So, but yeah.
Do you want to continue?
Yeah.
You want to continue?
Yeah, let's keep talking about this because we're still recording. So
Yeah, evidently, he only did it in his hometown, which makes me think, like, how did he go, like, a couple of years without being found out? A number of years, really, you know what I mean?
decades, honestly.
Yeah, because he started, I guess he would have
Because
started
between
in the
47 and
40s.
52, so that's
So, yeah.
what 5 years easy there that he did the grave robbing. What years did you say that the murders were
50,
from?
57 and 58.
4.
Wait, are we,
Oh, my phone fell. That's all right. For those of you that
Well,
hear
it
the
says here-
sniffing, that is the
It
dog.
says here the first murders of Bernice Warden on November 16, 1957. Bernice Warden was reported missing from her hardware store in Plainfield, with the cash register also
he was
gone.
apprehended in 57, November 16th.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Bernice Warden.
So then he survived an
the
entire decade.
Mary Hogan was murdered in 54.
Sit.
And then Bernice Warden in
Mhm.
57.
Yeah, so we were basically the Hogan murder was never really discovered until he admitted to it. So, but yeah, it was under questioning, and then numerous corpses. He would dig up. He admitted to during questioning. He admitted to digging up corpses, cutting off body parts, practicing necrophilia, and fashioning masks and suits out of skin to wear around the house. And like you guys said before, he had like organs and shit around the house too. So
Right.
Yummy.
Created suits out of women, body parts and skin everywhere when he was found.
Oh, his father worked as a carpenter and a tanner.
Yup.
So that's where.
that's how he knew. Yeah.
Yup.
That's fucked. That's totally fucked.
Totally fucked.
His lawyer got him off on a not guilty by reason of insanity in 58.
Right.
And then he spent the rest of his life in a mental institution and died of liver cancer.
Did you guys know there was a song by Blind Melon about him?
Nah, I didn't. What is it called?
Hold on, I'm
Probably
looking
called
for it.
Ed Gein.
I was gonna say, is it called Ed Gein? That'd be fucking weird.
It's called Skinned.
Weird.
It's off their album Soup.
So they have a
Skin
theme
soup?
going.
Skin soup for you there.
There's a definite theme.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking down here at the bottom.
So,
Nothing
where
to
would you
Gain by Mudvayne is also about him. Or
Mudvayne's-
inspired by him.
Yeah.
Ed Gein was a weird individual. We can just agree to that.
Mm-hmm. And we can also agree. Can we agree that Ed Gein looks a lot like Ed Harris?
Did we not already establish that?
Oh, I didn't know if we were on the air then.
Yeah, we did. We were.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Oh, his grave was stolen.
How ironic.
The irony in that. And his car was sold for
Auction off his car.
$760.
What kind of car was it? Does it say?
I'm looking.
It looks like an old Dodge.
It is an old Dodge. It says Dodge right there. But what it is beyond that, I can't. And it doesn't say.
He probably
what
had
it
some
is.
weird shit done in his car. Why would you want that?
I know, man, but they got away with it for $700.
Because
That's
it was a
dope.
sideshow attraction that he charged people a quarter to fucking see.
His
What
truck?
was- His car?
The car, yeah. That's what the dude that bought it used it for.
Oh,
So
I
that's,
get it.
I mean, that's insanity, though. This dude is weird, and
I know where that car
He
is at.
inspired so much in the fucking horror movie genre.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
No,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think-
wouldn't that stir up your imagination to write something about when that a new story came out like that? Shit.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to the next one.
right. So that's the one that you actually
Eileen Moore
seem
knows.
to know a little bit more than me about.
I mean, it's not so much that I know anymore. Have you ever seen that movie about her?
155-acre farm, and ran everybody off. Like she wouldn't let nobody in there, and the only way the boys could leave was to go to school. And then she like drilled into them that women were all women except for her were promiscuous and instruments of the devil.
Norman Bates.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. It's psycho.
All right. So let's move on though to the next one.
Eileen.
Yeah, you know more about her than I do.
Come on, Eileen.
I've
mean-
only seen
I
bits and
swear.
pieces of that monster where she was played by Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never watched the movie all the way through, but
We're,
she basically
yeah.
was a serial killer that murdered Johns. But she was abused, and that's why she went into prostitution and shit like that. She had a bad past, and she lived as a prostitute, and she killed 6 dudes, and they put her to death in a Florida prison. But she was sexually abused when she was a teen. She got in a lot of trouble. She was a prostitute on and off, and she killed her first dude in 1989. She killed 5 other men, eventually caught, convicted, and placed on death row. They said they questioned her sanity, through the whole thing because they thought she might have just been crazy, But she was from Michigan, and that's where she grew up. And her parents were I can't concentrate with you talking to that dog.
Sorry.
Her parents served time in prison for child molestation, if that tells you anything. Her dad was in there for child molestation, and her mom abandoned her and her older brother and left them to her parents to take care of. And her grandparents weren't any better. They were alcoholics, and her grandfather beat her. So she didn't have a very good life starting out. Also was sexually abused by the grandfather and had sexual relations with her own brother.
Yeah, starting at the age of 11. Oh.
Yeah. Pregnant by her early teens. Infant was given up for adoption. She was eventually forced out of her home and lived in the woods. She lived as a bum and a prostitute. Let's see if I can find any more before I start talking about it.
I'm reading right now, like her actual, when she was arrested and everything. In 74, she was in prison for driving while intoxicated and for firing a gun from a moving vehicle. She was subsequently arrested numerous times on charges that include armed robbery, check forgery, and auto theft. By the late 80s, she was a drifter. In 89-90, posing as a hitchhiking prostitute, she killed 7 middle-aged male motorists and left their bodies along the highways of Florida and southern Georgia.
Well, I'll tell you why she was an alcoholic. She was fucking living in Colorado. There ain't shit to do out here until they legalize marijuana. Shit.
Okay, let me tell you. She's an alcoholic because of the trauma she has suffered growing up. The chick was doomed from the fucking beginning. Yeah. Okay? And that's the sad thing is we see these types of people and we wonder what happened, huh? You don't think what? You don't think all the sexual abuse and the trauma led her to kill people?
No, I was going to say, you guys are just talking, but we get into it. I think eventually it boils down to a nature versus nurture.
No, it doesn't. Every fucking facet of life. That's what everything boils down to. Would she have killed all these people if she didn't grow up in a lifestyle she had? Yes, there is some people that have went through worse or as bad and came out okay, but nobody's saying they're okay. They're still traumatized and they have disorders, but maybe they just don't go kill people. Everybody reacts differently.
Like people in like during the 1800s, there'd be wagon trains get, jumped by, natives, and there'd be children left because they wouldn't kill children.
Right.
And I mean, like, their asses weren't, I mean, as far as we know, I don't know how well mental health was taken seriously back then, but.
I'm sure it was not taken seriously at all because they didn't understand it for one. And I'm sure, I don't know.
That's the era of toughen up. You pussy, you need to toughen up.
We send you out to be a man, go fucking kill a wolf or come back dead, one or the other.
Yeah.
You're not going to come back dead, but you're not going to come back at all. You're going to be dead. So, yeah, that's how it went. But I don't know. Yeah, like you say, it is the debate on that. But still, I mean, who's to say she wouldn't have turned out okay? But that's the thing.
Yeah.
She's not right in it. No, nobody's saying she's right. But
I don't think she said she was right. She said she admitted she was a serial killer and that she would kill again. She was very matter of fact about it.
Oh yeah, dude. She was. I don't think she was
she swore she acted in self-defense.
Yeah. She said she's all of them raped or attempted to rape her while she was servicing them.
Well, okay, I don't know. If you're a fucking prostitute and you're sitting there getting money for sex, I'm not exactly sure if that constitutes as rape, but then again, we get into an SVU episode if I start saying that shit.
Right.
We're not talking our favorite Law and Order episodes. We're talking killers.
Dun dun.
Yeah. So she shot them all though. That was the thing. She shot each and every one of them motherfuckers. Look, she wasn't bad looking in her younger years. She was a okay looking girl, and she just had a rough fucking life, man. It sucks for her. But yeah, she was interesting to me though, because you don't see a lot of female serial killers.
No, you really don't.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, how many other ones are there that we can think of off the top of our head?
Well, I don't know.
We have one as an honorable mention for tonight. But I really don't consider her a
but-
serial killer. She
She's
killed
not a
2
serial
people.
killer. She only killed her parents.
What about that woman? All the, like, I don't say anyone in particular because the only reason why I can't remember their names. But like, do we consider like people like the women that killed their children, like that woman that drove her car into the?
No, I don't consider them serial killers either.
Why not? Because they did multiple murders.
Yeah, but it wasn't. The definition of serial killer is like 2 or more, right, in a span of whatever. But I feel like it has to be. There's like a motive and a like a calling card, if you will. Not even if you leave anything, but like a certain way of doing things. And
Yeah, telltale.
I mean, if
signs,
she had like 10 kids and she murdered them all, but it was over a span of time, I don't think it would be all. I mean, obviously,
like giving them
it's a serial killing if you kill 10 people in a row. But fuck, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just it's the way you look at the definition. It's subjective.
Yeah, she killed a lot of
A
guys.
person who commits a series of murders
6 or 7 days,
with
but
no apparent
maybe
motive,
them dudes shouldn't have been doing what they were doing either, because I'm sure a few of them were married.
She killed a retired Air Force major. Why is there an Air Force major paying for sex?
Okay. So, yeah, she's a pretty interesting one. So if you ever heard of her, Eileen Wuornos, AILEEN WUORNOS, check her out. She's just look into her background, and they did a movie on her and shit too.
Oh my God! Guess what guess where they located her?
San
Scranton.
Quentin. Where?
No, it was like
Scranton,
Jefferson County,
Pennsylvania.
Colorado. She was arrested
Really?
for DUI.
They got her, and that's weird because I was living there.
Yeah, but nowhere near the time that she was.
Oh no, not at all. But there's the ghosts of Christmas past that I'm worried about.
All right. So, yeah, that was my interesting famous murder thing. I thought that was cool.
That is it's interesting, but it's damn scary.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at life in general, life's scary. Anything could happen. Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
You could pick up
tomorrow, today.
fucking coronavirus
Right.
tomorrow.
I could be on the way home.
So,
Get it right, dude. It's COVID-19.
yeah, whatever. All right, so let's move on. We already talked about Edgeen. We talked about Eileen. Now, let's get into the 2 interesting ones.
Yeah, I don't know if these are necessarily interesting. I personally find them interesting
not be
just because they're
interesting?
not
Not
solved.
That's why they're more interesting.
Because they could still be
So
out there.
that's how I
Well,
feel.
one definitely cannot still be out there. The
All right,
other,
let's talk about Zodiac.
I think that he might be.
all right,
let's
so
talk
which one
about
do we
that.
talk
Let's talk
first?
about
The one from the 80s
Zodiac.
or the one from the 60s or the one from the 19?
I said it's 6. Do you not hear me? I said Zodiac 4 times.
Oh, I didn't hear you say Zodiac. I'm sorry. Look, I just got him calmed down and laying down, and now you're going to fucking pester him.
All right,
God. All right.
Zodiac.
So Zodiac. So what do you know about the Zodiac?
I don't know much on him. I never watched that movie. I never, and I didn't really follow anything on the news because it was a long time ago. So,
All right, so the Zodiac and the other one that we're going to talk about are really kind of similar in stance, and the way that they handled what they did and stuff like that. So we honestly could talk about them both at the same time.
no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Of course you don't want to do that.
One's a copycat of the other.
I almost feel like that's a plausibility, but I don't think the
The
Zodiac actually had like true motive to his murders, whereas the other did. The Zodiac was
Maybe
really
a serial killer.
No, but he was selective about who he murdered, though.
But they say that he claimed to have killed 37, but they don't know for sure.
Yeah, because
They've
he
only
wrote
confirmed
he wrote
7.
letters. Don't forget
Yeah.
about that. He wrote
Yeah,
letters.
that's what I'm
to
saying.
the
That's
paper.
where I'm calling the similarities. You know, he did write letters. Example: there was 2 teenagers that were murdered, and he wrote a letter explaining that he killed both of them, when he killed both of them, with explicit details that only that person could know, the actual killer could know. And was blatantly saying, hey, if you don't print the fact that I'm sending you these letters, then I'm going to kill more people.
Right.
And more people did
I don't
die.
think he would have stopped either way.
I mean, he didn't.
I mean, he stopped eventually. Yeah.
I think it's. I couldn't imagine seeing that big motherfucker, because I assume he's a big motherfucker. Because one of the people got away, and the description of him was a black hood with a fucking like circle with a plus sign or cross or whatever the fuck, like an executioner from like the goddamn Dark Ages.
Right.
That would have fucked. I mean, like if I got away, I would probably never look at night the same way.
Right.
Honestly, I think a lot of people who suffer attacks in that kind of a situation don't look at night the same way. I feel like that's a good reason to have agoraphobia, which is the fear of leaving your house.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just ask why we haven't seen a real serial killer? Maybe it's because of advances in technology and cameras everywhere. But we haven't seen a real serial killer since, the 80s, 70s, 60s?
I haven't heard about one, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
true.
it's probably
true.
existent in the modern days. But
not
mean,
enough
it's
maybe to
just-
tie them together with similarities. Maybe they change it each time. I don't know.
Back of the trunk.
Well, I'd say probably advances in modern forensics and like DNA. But then again, they've shown that DNA can be fallible.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna go check
Yeah,
the
I mean, it just
the
depends.
list of identified. Actually, there is one on the wiki list from 2009. Anyways, let's finish the conversation with this, and then we'll discuss whether I'll show you out some of the modern serial killers.
See, this is why I'm taking psychology though, because this is one of the reasons I want to really become a criminal psychologist or something to that effect.
may I make a statement real quick?
You may.
Sure.
The FBI estimates that there are between 25 and 50 serial killers operating throughout the U.S. at any given time. If there are 50, then each one is responsible for an average of 3 murders per year. Serial killers are always present in society. That's from the FBI.
Always present in society.
But
But
yeah,
they don't rush. Yeah, but it could be. It just depends on how prolific they are. You know what I mean? Or how
Yeah.
good they are.
Or how often they do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Because that one dude that was he was arrested not too long ago, and he was a different Golden State Killer. Was that his name?
I think you're right. Yeah.
He ended up like, it was like decades. It was like in the early 2000s. He started writing letters again, and then they found his ass because guess what? Modern forensics.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
That's really
So
probably what's
the
cut
hard
down
thing.
on them.
That's
Like
the
I
hard
said,
thing. Is
on the like I said, I'm on the Wikipedia, like active serial or not active, but serial killers who have been caught and everything. And the newest one is 2009, 2010. But the funny thing about that is can I actually switch that and go by years? No, I can't. There might be newer ones, 2002, but there's not.
Again,
a lot
the FBI said that at any one given moment in the nation, there are at least 25 to 50
I've
active.
read that before.
right, and I've seen
seems
that. I've seen
high.
that statistic when I was actually looking to see,
Yeah, but
our modern.
As a mathematician, statistics, you can get statistics to say anything you want.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they're not like we say that in psychology. Like it's not always the best way to, look at shit.
Well, they
Yeah,
also
that's
say
why-
that
that's why-
1 in 10 people that you walk by on a street daily has the potential to be a serial killer.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think anybody has the potential.
No,
depending
I
on
don't
what
think
happens.
everybody has the potential. I
No,
think it takes
they-
a certain kind of person.
No, what if something traumatic happened to you suddenly? Like for instance, me. I watched a woman get her head blown off. I was in a bar once, and her ex-husband shot her through. I could have gone one of two ways after that. I could have freaked out and been like, "What's wrong with motherfuckers?" And then I could have started just killing husbands that are divorced for some reason, one
Right.
reason or another. You know what I mean?
Right. 'cause
It
you
depends on
put it
however your
yeah.
psyche takes it and handles it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I also think that it also has to do with, again, nature versus nurture on your end too.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So check this out. Here's a dude that was active from 1985 to 2007. He was known as the Grim Sleeper. He was charged after DNA evidence linked him with 10 murders in L.A. in 85.
Was that the nurse?
I don't know.
See, there was a pretty recent one that was a nurse that got caught, and he killed they actually don't know how many, and he considered them mercy killings or some shit. But he was basically giving people embolisms.
Emblems.
I really fucking say it. I'm from
And
the
the
Midwest.
lambs.
I don't know how to fucking talk.
No, I'm just fucking with you. Okay, so let's move on with this. But
Oh, and to answer your
Who
question,
we
in
on?
74 is when the letter stopped, so that's when they assumed that he went inactive. The investigation still to this day is active.
well,
I was
but they
gonna say,
think
wait a second.
they think
So-
the guy that was him supposedly died in
What?
84, 10 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
What has stopped them from going from that year, checking the death record?
We can't hear him.
Yeah, get him closer to the mic, please.
Okay, so what's stopping the FBI from going to find out who it was? They could go get the death records, find out who all died that year, and then find handwriting samples of them. And then
I still
match
think
them
even
to
death
the-
records might still need warrants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then also,
Well, I don't
Well,
know
if it's
because
an active investigation, I'm pretty sure they can get them.
I just want to know.
death
wasn't there
records are
some
public
kind of,
record.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
you're
is
right.
true.
Because it's.
I
in the
can't
news.
believe they
It's in
haven't
the
found any kind of DNA
However,
evidence.
I don't know if they could use the public route in an investigation. I think they'd have to go through legit channels and get a warrant.
No, you'd be able to use it because you could be able to go and just get it straight out because it's accessible to any person. So
Hey,
you can
you know
get
how-
that information. Now, the handwriting
Right.
samples for the victor, the people that you think it might be,
Right.
that you would have to probably figure out a way to get
So
a
then
warrant.
you'd have to track down family members and be
Mhm.
like, "Hey, do you have any letters
Look.
written by this
Right.
person?"
You know how they're finding loopholes with catching a lot of murders and stuff now? 23andMe DNA.
Yeah.
You give it to the fucking government. You fucking put in that writing right there. They can use it.
I have seen it multiple times over.
They caught a fucking killer they've been looking for like 20 years recently.
Yeah.
Remember the John Stamos episode of SVU when his ass got caught with having 28, 30 kids out everywhere? He had a commune because of the 23andMe.
So there is a TV show that's loosely based on actual events where I can't think. A fertility specialist used his
It's
own
a
sample.
movie, and Vince Vaughn's in it.
There's a TV show on Fox right now as well.
Oh, they're doing a TV show.
Yeah, it's got oh god, what the fuck's his name? I can't even
Man,
remember
us
now.
as a society are fucking weird, man.
But he used his own sample to create all these kids. There's a guy in real life that has fathered 85 children, but he wanted to remain anonymous, and then the government got caught up in it and was like, "Whoa, you can't do this and not pay child support on one of them." But he's like, "Whoa, it's a sample going to a sperm clinic, therefore it's a donation, and I am not bound by that."
Yeah, because you sign all rights away
Yep.
when you donate.
Yeah.
Something.
Yep, and the higher up courts found in his favor. So,
Yeah, they better. Goddamn.
Yeah.
but yeah,
Fuck
no,
that.
that-
You got to pay child support on one of these kids.
But on one of them situations where you find
bank.
out, oh, I'm sorry, do what?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say on one of them situations where the doctor used his own sample. By all means, all of a sudden all these people use 23andMe and find out they trace back to this doctor.
Yeah.
The
that's
doctor
for sure.
using the
Yeah.
samples is
Yeah,
another
I've seen
SVU
that.
episode, too.
So I mean that's just insane that's or like you said, that John Stamos episode of SVU.
Oh, Jesus.
So, all right. So to our other serial killer. Now that we've gotten on one of our famous tangents, this is the last one. Let me see what time we're at. Actually, guys, we could probably use a 5-minute, if you don't mind. Let's get an ad in.
Can we dedicate this ad to someone?
You want to dedicate an ad?
Yeah, I'd like to dedicate this ad.
I mean,
to
hold
Ted
on.
Bundy.
Cash, are you cool with an ad?
I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to dedicate it to Ted Bundy. Thanks, Ted Bundy, for being a fucking weirdo.
And giving us something to talk about.
And teaching us to get tattoos because people with tattoos, flesh tastes funny.
Yeah.
I got a tattoo.
All right, we'll be right back. I hope you all enjoyed that ad, whatever it was. I don't know.
I
if
never
they are.
enjoy
I know
ads.
YouTube throws them wherever the fuck it wants.
Yeah, so I mean, you probably got
Yeah.
3. And none of them were in that gap.
Yeah, I was gonna say what you basically got was, and we'll be right back. All
And
right,
we're
guys. I hope you enjoyed that ad.
Well, no, we dedicated it to Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Because he's a fucking weirdo.
So to finish off this conversation, at least for the main 4 that we had originally, we have Jack the Ripper. That's a personal favorite of mine.
This is what I want to talk about real quick because I want to ask Brando something.
Okay.
And I want to let him lead this intro to Jack the Ripper. So, Brando, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You think Jack the Ripper was a time traveler?
I do. I believe that Jack the Ripper targeted his victims when they were pregnant, and his victims weren't actually the women. It was the children being born. I think that he probably changed history because if you think about it, think about what was in Rise in, say, the early 1900s, basically the turn of the century, which would have been about 20 years later after he committed the murders. 1908 they would have been 20 years old, so they would have been adults by, World War I. I mean, for sure. So I think that he targeted these children who would later grow up to become fascist leaders of Great Britain, and then also probably either another country, because I mean, likely Great Britain, but we don't know whether or not there were murders in France that were, anything connected that might not have ever been found or anything like that. So, but I do believe that there would have been a fascist state of Britain at around the same time there would have been a fascist state of Germany, Spain.
Are you saying
Italy.
he's a time traveler?
That's exactly what he's
So he
Mhm.
came back
said the
in
whole thing.
time and killed those babies because he already knew that they were going to overthrow the monarchy and put in a fascist dictatorship.
Well, you got to remember they were at this time. I mean, they were a parliamentary democracy or whatever you want to call it. It was the same way they are now.
I think they're a constitutional monarchy.
They do have a constitution, but they work in like a parliament system.
Right.
So like every government has to be formed when it's a leader is elected. Say like the Labor Party and then they have to form a new government. It's similar in the way that we have we set it up with just like chairs, you got fucking Homeland Security, this, that, or the other, you know what I mean? But I think in the parliamentary system you actually have to have a voted in government as well. And like I said, it's very similar to how Congress vets the people that the president gets, for instance, So anyway, the thing is though is that there was a lot of fascist sentiments in Britain even leading up to World War II. So I think that they might have targeted.
They were seeing a war-torn nation prosper, and they're like, "Well, maybe that'll work here."
Mm-hmm. So you see where I'm following.
He's picking up what you're putting down.
I'm with you here.
And then not only that, but what would be the consequences thereafter? Even I mean, it would have been economic chaos throughout Europe for the next 50 years at least, especially with all the wars. Because you don't think Russia would just let a fascist state just show up on its communist fucking border? No fucking way. There'd be war there for probably 100 years. We'd still be at war. So he might have averted. Jack the Ripper himself might have averted, say, I don't know, 600 million deaths as opposed to killing only, say, 6 women.
Right, but killing the 6 women, you stopped British Hitler.
My mom was a prostitute. I'm going to kill millions of people.
Hold on, though. I'm going to ask you a very valuable question. Did it ever come out that his victims were pregnant?
Yeah. They cut them right out of their bodies. They were prostitutes. You got to remember, I don't think contraceptives were working all that great. Of course,
this is my.
So here's my theory.
No, I get that. What he's saying now, though, that's what he did. They might not have been necessarily pregnant at the moment he got them, though. But they, at some point in the next, say, 5 years, that child was going to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't be. No. They were pregnant with them. They might not have known it, but there wasn't. But the thing is, though, the coroner for the time, the London coroner, described that the incisions and process of which all the organs and everything was cut that were brought out were done with like a precision of a surgeon's hand. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I do know that.
Like they were familiar. They were familiar with what they were.
Doctors just practicing.
And that's probably more plausible. But I like to think it was a time traveler that knew exactly what he was doing, kind of like a Terminator in a way.
Right.
Kill John Connor when he's in the womb as opposed to kill John Connor.
Speaking of which, I watched that new Terminator. It's not
bad.
bad.
Episode of season 4 of Rick and Morty.
That's exactly what I'm hearing.
I haven't seen any of season 4 yet.
Look, this guy lives in Colorado, so he's got that good shit.
Yeah.
Who, me?
He's smoking that good shit and fucking zoning off, coming up with crazy theories.
I do come up with crazy theories. Well, that's what mathematicians do. We're little nuts.
But yeah, the uniqueness
little
of
nuts.
his
You got
murders
little
were.
nuts.
Oh, sorry, do what, Cash?
He said we're a little nuts. I said you got little nuts.
He is a little nuts. Anyways, the uniqueness of the murders were that they were all prostitutes, and all but one were killed while soliciting customers. In each instance, their throat was cut and the body was mutilated in a manner indicating that the murderer had at least some sort of human anatomy. So, yes, to declare him as a surgeon is probably the best bet, but he was at least a doctor of some sort.
Could have been a battlefield doctor as well.
That would make sense. Come back from war.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, I don't think
1800s. This is before World War I, right?
Well, we had the Spanish-American War. I'm trying to think of what the British were involved.
1892.
The thing is, though, is that the British were probably always at odds with somebody because they had a vast empire.
Right?
Well, yeah, dude,
They were probably at war with Ireland or something.
No, guys, back then that was under the umbrella of the what do they call it, the Commonwealth?
Yeah.
Commonwealth states. It still is.
So he's always been one of the more fascinating ones to me. Him or they or whatever. They say it's multiple people. But yeah, that's the thing I can think of is like a team of doctors that were just like not apathetic to anything, and they fucking
maybe
killed these ladies and practiced whatever.
Doctors.
Honest to God truth, I just thought about this. You want to talk about the fact that he could have been a field medic. Who's to say he didn't fight in the Revolutionary War?
Who's to say he's even British?
Because the Revolutionary War was 110 years.
Yeah, never mind.
prior.
You're right. It would be
1770s.
Yeah, but who's
The
to
late
say he's even
yeah,
British?
no, he would have had to be
like
able to even be like remotely vast. He would have had to have been like in the last like 8 months of the war. He was over there stitching people up.
During Napoleon's reign, was Great Britain at odds with France?
Yes.
Yeah, so
The
could have
whole
been.
reason
Listen.
why the British drive on
It's-
the left is a whole fuck you to Napoleon.
The first Anglo-Burmese War, the first Anglo-Afghan War, the first Opium War.
What year?
So that was probably in Afghanistan.
The-
All right, Cash, you had something? Cash,
First
you
one
had
was the
something?
Burmese, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Cash, what's up? What you
I
got?
forget now.
Damn it.
Said listen 3 times. Oh, who's to say
what
he
if
was British?
Yeah, exactly.
A teacher. What if he was a teacher at a college, or like a medical school, and he just used them for practice?
If he was a teacher at a
what I'm
medical
saying.
school at the end of the 19th century, he would have been a doctor. He would have
Right.
been a doctor, so it'd just be right there on doctor.
Right.
Yeah, but like
Instead
he's
of
saying,
the
he
whole
might not have got
Bible
enough
thing.
people he got to cut open enough, so he needed more practice. And who better to do it on than prostitutes? But nobody gives a
then
shit.
I
Well, that's-
would have thought that he would have brought it back to the theater. You know what I mean? The surgeon's theater.
Not necessarily.
But
Maybe
see,
he
and
wanted
that's-
for the rush.
That's kind of where you're right, and my partially right, and one of the opinions that I vastly have formed about this is that he chose his victims because nobody would care.
Yeah,
So wait a
exactly.
second. So why would he go back and kill those 6 particular ladies that could have bore those 6 particular children? And
Oh yeah, we're
not-
back to my
You're
time
going
travel.
back to that. We weren't even talking about that no more. But you're going back to that. What about it?
And not, how can he go back and kill all them and not kill Hitler?
Because the poor painter's tired of time travelers
Because
trying
they-
to kill him.
No,
Dude,
it was
I can't
they had
believe
to
I
they
got
had to
fucking
they had to
flag
choose the
on Facebook.
lesser of two evils. Maybe that timeline didn't come out right. You ever read the book? What is it?
Listen,
11/22.
Wait a second.
I don't
What if
think
Hitler
it's
was
like
the
linear time, dude. It's
partial
multiverse
symptom of
theory,
that
bro.
is killing those other women? Hitler was able to come to power because he wouldn't have been able to if somebody else came to power. Maybe.
No.
And if
Hitler was
didn't
born
come
in like
to power, some
1896.
other
Wait,
tragic thing would happen, and that was the lesser of the two evils.
Exactly.
maybe.
Has
Or
anybody
like I
in
said, he
here ever read
came
a
out
sa-
because
what I'm
the fact
saying.
that somebody else they didn't know about Hitler because they killed the other ones and then Hitler happened. You see what I'm saying? Hitler was
but
not
it's
in the
not-
first.
From the future,
Hitler was not
yeah,
in the
I
first
know.
timeline.
Have you guys ever read A Sound of Thunder by Ray Bradbury?
No, I have not.
No.
No, but I like Ray Bradbury. It used to
Check
be
that
Ray
check that
Bradbury.
out, because that'll make you think like maybe just maybe Brando's time traveler theory makes sense.
Maybe.
Well, the thing is, I sat in on a physics class. There was a theoretical physics class once, and there was
what if
Robert Mallett.
Hitler is Jack the Ripper?
Every decision you make. is a different branch on the timeline.
I like that idea. What if he wanted it only to be one current, like a fascist, like the fascist leader of all, like he'd be the Stalin or Lenin of fucking communism he'd be the one for fascism. Holy shit, man.
All right, so
we never found, they don't know if they found his body.
And they said that the Nazis might have time traveled.
Yeah, well, you ever seen that movie, Guess Who's Back?
Or it could have been one of Hitler's doctors. I mean,
hey, I just want to point this out.
You're talking about the bell? We'll get me started on the fucking bell.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Now we're talking.
Time is not linear, so it wouldn't make sense either way if somebody went back in time.
It's multiverse theory, bro.
It's not even just the multiverse.
You have to
theory.
understand that we perceive time in a way that other parts of the galaxy or universe doesn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
We perceive it.
Listen,
we perceive it in that linear line.
Is a way for the universe to know itself. That's it. That's all we're here for.
I think it's a way for us to know ourselves, really.
No.
Brando's gonna get sexy time with his hand later.
Oh,
He's gonna get to know himself.
Check this out.
Feel good.
To feel good.
He's looking at his hand, going, "I'm the one." That...
We may never know who Jack the Ripper is.
Check it out,
but
dude.
It's interesting.
It's almost humanly
I
impossible
don't
to
want to see
figure
your
out.
flashlight.
It's a towel.
Do they? But that's the thing that I don't understand. Maybe that they gotta have DNA from these they saved.
Nah, because it had been contaminated by that time. Because they wouldn't have realized back at the time, like touching it.
True. Yeah, you're right.
End of the 19th century, forensics was just in its infancy. So it's like,
Yeah, I figure they might have like skin shavings or something. Just something, blood. I don't know.
Dude,
I think they used a fingerprint.
A preserved fucking, I don't know, piece of clothing.
Would it be plausible? Would it be possible to have a blood sample from that time period?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be if they had kept it.
You know, if people are doing
They
23andMe,
would
they
have
could find it.
hermetically sealed it because I don't think they had grammatical sealings or grammatical sealings rather until like the 40s. Well, no, it would have been whenever they started canning shit. I think.
No,
But they would have had to can it.
Survive that long.
They would have probably put it in formaldehyde.
blood.
In a vacuum.
Formaldehyde, probably. They would
is
probably
gonna
do it
degrade the
in
sample.
alcohol for short periods right before going into trial, and then they probably would have just gotten rid of it. But they never went to trial, so.
Probably
True
buried
that.
with the body.
So yeah,
All
so we have no
There is
true way. But he was kind of cool.
We may never know.
You can actually go you can probably do it online because I'm sure they're all available online. The British were goddamn keepers of everything they did. Like they've got books upon books of death records from goddamn 1500s and shit.
Hey,
So,
so
like-
can I finish my
Yeah,
statement?
but
So
most of that is nobility.
hey, I need to finish that statement so we don't get red flagged because I said he's
Said
kind of
most of
cool
that's good.
before I got cut off.
Who?
He's kind of
Hitler?
cool in a way because
Prison.
he, you know,
Is that what you just said?
with each victim, he actually, much like Zodiac, wrote a letter to.
Jack the Ripper. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking.
I thought he said Hitler too. That's what I was like. What the
No,
fuck, man?
whoa! I would
That's
never
what I
say
s-
he was kind of cool.
I mean, some of the policies did work.
But then,
Some of them were batshit crazy.
yeah, and then on the one occasion he half the kidney. Ugh. Ballsy motherfucker. Like, oh, by the way, here's half a kidney. I hate the other half.
Yeah. Well, you just
I bet it goes good with farva beans.
Oh, farmer beans. That's
When
right.
people say like, "Oh, that stuff didn't happen back then," that stuff didn't happen back then, like pertaining to anything, really. Yeah, it did. Because we're fucking human.
So here's the thing. I think a lot of what we see going on today happened back then. It just wasn't as mainstream or as easily spotted because back
Or even
then,
found out about,
you didn't have the internet.
Right.
The
Well, I don't
internet
think you had
changed-
telephones back
The
then.
birth of the internet changed the world.
I would say that the telegraph
The
machine
human race
changed the
was
world.
Not ready for the internet.
I don't think anybody's ready for the internet.
The human race was not ready.
Mm-mm.
We are way too immature for this much technology.
He's right.
We have like the ultimate technology in the world, and we use it to share memes, pictures of people of
And
ladies fighting
cats.
with cats.
Yeah.
Dude,
And then to look up recipes and shit.
and
We
a
don't
little
use it for
green
anything.
pointy-eared baby.
Oh wait, don't talk about Baby Yoda like that.
No, the child.
I know.
His name is the child.
The first episode of season 7 for.
Yeah, I saw it. I watched it.
You guys are getting off topic.
Oh yeah, let's
No, we
get off
weren't.
this. Follow the
Sure.
parabola.
Jack the
Do
Ripper,
not
awesome,
back
unsolved
into the conversation.
case. That is very interesting. All right, so didn't you guys have some extra ones you want to talk about?
Yeah,
Here,
well, I
here.
mean-
Let me talk. Let me throw something in real quick. Sam Little, look him up if you've never heard of him. He is the guy that's in prison that confessed to like 90 murders. So he's like the most prolific serial killer right now, if they're all confirmed. His name's Samuel Little. But yeah, you guys had other people you wanted to talk about, so go ahead.
No, go ahead. Talk about him.
No,
If you
I'm not
have
talking
the
about
info
him.
pulled
I
up,
didn't
talk
want to-
about him.
I don't.
You do.
I don't have it pulled up. I just remember this.
Why do you do
I've got
that
it
to
right
me?
here. So
I'm giving the people the option to go look him up themselves.
in
had something to talk
October of last year, the FBI is seeking assistance connecting victims to his confessions.
Yeah,
So they're still trying to figure this out, like how many he killed.
yeah. He could be lying. He could be
he's-
fucking lying.
He could, yeah, like those guys in the '80s that said that they killed all these women that they were picking up on the side of the road and stuff like that. And there's no way, because like by the time the FBI was trying to go ahead and pin all these murders on these fuckers, like they would have had to drive like 900 miles an hour to like one place to the other.
Yeah,
There's like
yeah,
no
but this
way.
guy. I mean, this guy is pretty.
I don't know. Maybe
serious
they were
about what he
maybe
says,
They had
but-
future tech.
No, these guys were hillbillies, man. You should. There's a Netflix special.
Some people just want to be famous for the wrong reasons. They can't find no other way to do it.
Well, it was like in the way that they were the police in, I think it was Texas. I think it was, is that how they were doing the confession and all the prodding and
we can get you out of here as soon as you tell us what happened. Blah blah blah. For their one murder that they had,
and they end up pinning like 120 to them.
That's what happens when you got dumb hillbillies and they got cold cases.
Is this the guy that?
Know your laws.
There. I don't know about this guy. The guy I'm about to talk about. This was found out while I was living in D.C. I don't know this guy's story, but I don't know But this guy was like, he was chopping up bodies, burying them, and leaving them around the house. And people would say that his house would smell really bad. They just assumed he was just an old man that couldn't clean or keep after himself. He was killing
Yeah. Come on,
prostitutes.
man.
and
You got to
women.
know what decomposing bodies smell like.
You'd think, but then again, you ought to see like the smells that you smell in D.C., man. Like there's whole blocks that smell like fucking vomit.
So I feel bad because Greg just messaged the show and said, let me know when you guys record the stupid shit you did as kids episode.
Oh, we could just do an addendum for him. You can
Yeah,
just
we
throw it
can.
in.
Yeah, we can.
I'll stay on and shit.
I kind of feel bad. All right, my bad, Greg. Anyway, yeah, that's what do you guys got to talk? Who's your other killers? Here?
All right, so our stand-in, now that we've had a couple of off-topic, additional, notable, whatever, honorable mentions, I guess. We have H.H. Holmes, which is Unsolved. He was a cool one.
He was different, I'll tell you that.
It was a D friend.
He had a murder castle.
Yeah, he bought that house. Was he a dentist or was he?
Elaborate.
What was his profession? He had a profession of some type. What was it?
Okay, so I don't remember what his actual profession was. I'll skim through this here in a second. He killed up to 200 people inside his hotel that was outfitted with trapdoors, gas chambers, and a basement crematorium.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there was like, it was
He
crazy.
had a murder castle.
That motherfucker went to
You think people just get bored, or
I think
or they're just crazy?
more money than sense.
Maybe.
But with absolute power brings absolute corruption.
But here's how he fucking did it. He did it during the World's Fair.
Yeah.
That's because everybody needed a place to stay. That's what he was doing. He was a fucking,
Like a hostel place.
We're out there.
Yeah, his murder castle was the hotel that he owned.
Mm-hmm. And no one would miss him because they'd be like, oh, I guess he just never come home. And authorities would be like, well, I guess they decided to live in Chicago.
Guess they just stayed there. I don't know, man.
fucking crematorium.
So yeah, his ass would put them into
But how many did he kill?
over 200.
What?
Here's the thing.
How is he not the most prolific serial
They've
killer?
said that he had somewhere around 200 victims. He can actually confessed to 27, but they can actually only pinpoint 9.
He's a liar.
Yeah, he might be. He might be embellishing the story just to make headlines and shit. He could have been like a guy who wanted his 15 minutes of fame back then.
No, it seems like a guy who wanted to be remembered forever because what year was this?
1890s.
So 200 years later, we're still talking about him?
He's the first.
It's not. It's, first off,
he's America's
Zuzu,
first serial killer.
Well, it's not exactly 200 years. It's like 100.
But yeah, he's America's first serial killer. So that's why we still talk about him today. He's the first person to be absolutely crazy about shit like this.
Dude, that is insane.
I don't know, man. I mean, you can almost consider General Custer a mass murderer. I mean, or a serial killer since he killed all those natives.
Right.
But I digress.
But I digress. Yeah, true. No, seriously.
He got his comeuppance.
But it's a war, so they won't classify it as that.
Yeah.
Whatever. Fucking bullshit.
I told you about that politics and genocide class I took.
We touched on it.
Yeah, true. All right, who else you got?
I mean, that's some crazy shit.
Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, some Lizzie Borden. And that's just a little cheap.
Borden. She was wild.
What's she?
Mm-hmm.
Killed her parents.
She didn't like her. She didn't like her parents, man. She didn't like her. I just think she was a bitch and didn't like her parents telling her what to do.
Her pictures look creepy. Like her eyes are just empty.
Yeah.
Mm.
They probably knew she was crazy. I watched a show on her.
The hatchet?
I watched one of the murder shows on her. Yeah, man. The hatchet.
The hatchet.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, she tried to poison her family the week before. The entire household had been violently ill. A family friend speculated that mutton left on the stove for use in meals over several days was the cause.
Gross.
This one's for Steve Starr on Lizzie Borden. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When
Yeah.
she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.
Yeah, I said that earlier.
Yeah, I know. That's I said.
I
said it was for you, Steve.
listen. He said it was for you. Piece
I
of
appreciate
shit.
that. It means it. Somewhere deep inside my heart, I feel that.
That was back in what, the 1800s as well?
1890. Or no, wait, hold on. Well, she died at age 66, but she was born in 1860, so I'm assuming she was in her teens, so probably around the 1870s or 80s.
1892. No, that was That was.
She was 30.
The murders.
She did it when she was in her 30s. Maybe the bitch should have left home.
God, dude, I don't get
She
it.
couldn't
All
find
right,
a
anyway.
husband to get married off to.
The last one I want to mention is the Melendez brothers.
Oh yeah, those fucks.
Wait.
They shot their parents.
I don't have. Oh, they shot
Menendez? You guys don't remember that
Menendez?
shit? Yeah,
Menendez
I remember.
brothers,
That was like one of the first big trials we got to watch on TV when they first started having court TV and shit.
They were rich, affluent people, and they shot their parents with a shotgun until they were unrecognizable and said they were being molested.
Mm-hmm. And then there was a huge show trial, which a lot of shit came out. And
Yeah, a lot of ratings, TV shows, all
Oh,
that.
I do remember those kids.
Mm-hmm. They had that look too that Lizzie Borden has, like a look of emptiness. It's fucking weird.
Right.
Apparently they were fucking each other.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
fucking weird. I don't even want to delve into that. Jesus Christ.
Well, why not? I mean, like, if we're gonna delve into murder, why not delve into other aspects of fucking humanity?
I guess, but
Why
brothers.
are they like that?
Because their parents were fucking doing it to them.
Probably.
Either that, I think the theory was that they conspired because of their weirdness.
Yeah. Maybe.
Ugh.
So.
I didn't trust anybody named Lyle anyway. Fuck.
No, I only know one, and I don't trust him.
All right, so that is show 37. Be on the lookout next week for show 38. Stupid shit we did as kids or when we were younger. And that'll air next Wednesday. PeskyCatENT@gmail.com, at the Open Mic Show Podcast on Facebook, at ENTCat on Twitter, the Open Mic Show on IG, Cash __West, Steve Starr Steve MF Starr on Facebook for gamer streams. Brando El Capitan?
Brando El Capitan.
Yeah, Brando El Capitan on Facebook for game streams, and Cash West for game streams. Did I forget anything?
Instagram? No.
YouTube?
I got all that.
No, YouTube.
Yeah,
Pesky Caddy NT. You'll find all kinds of randomness. And when I say that, I mean it.
Yeah, a bunch of different stuff. So yeah, join us next week for that, and we hope you guys enjoyed the show. So until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Peace.